Hey up guys, so today this review is coming to you from Bundaberg, Australia. It is currently 30 degrees, I am sweating like a whore in church, so I'm just going to plow through this review because as soon as I am done talking about this film, I am jumping in that pool, okay? Because, yeah, it is bloody hot out here today. Let's talk about the 21st Marvel movie. God, 21 films, that's insane. It's the 21st one, and it's the first female-driven one, and it's Captain Marvel. Let's also take a moment to, acknowledge the fact that this is the first female-directed Marvel movie as well. Granted, it is also co-directed by another man because it is directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, but still, this is great progress that we're seeing, like female directors directing female-driven superhero movies. Okay, this is bloody progress, so we should be happy with that. But in regards to Captain Marvel, I will say I couldn't help shake the feeling whilst I was watching it that if Marvel had just beaten DC to the punchline and got Captain Marvel out first before Wonder Woman and had it been the first female-driven superhero movie, then yes, this film probably would have made more impact, but Wonder Woman already sort of stole its thunder in a sense, and I think that this film is perfectly watchable, it's fun, and it is still an important film, but it just didn't have the impact that I think this film was hoping it would have, because it's just following in the footsteps of Wonder Woman, and it just feels like we're getting sloppy seconds, really. And it's fine, it's just, I left this film feeling good, but not flawed. The plot is centered around Brie Larson's character Veers, who is this intergalactic SWAT member of Hala, which is the civilization of the Kree species, and basically she is tasked with hunting down these characters known as Skrulls, which are these shape-shifting goblin creatures, and they're sort of led by Ben Mendelsohn's character. And her mission takes her to this planet that's known as C-53, which is just Earth, and it's set in the mid-90s, and yeah, she has to track down these Skrulls and take them out before they cause any damage to Earth, essentially. And while she's on C-53, or Earth, if you will, she encounters a whole bunch of stuff, like a young Nic Fury, played by Samuel L. Jackson, as well as a feast of 90s pop culture references and nods, and also she discovers more information about herself, about her origins and where she comes from and how she became to be so powerful as well. What I did like about Captain Marvel was that it was kind of a twist on the whole superhero origin story, because most superhero films do start with a human character gaining their powers and learning how to harness them, whereas this film starts off with an already empowered female warrior superhero character, which is Veers, and this film sees how she discovers her human self, really, and she learns the lesson that the most valuable bit of strength that she has is that she is a human female, and that's a really empowering message for all the young girls watching this film as well. So this film does have a message, and a lot of girls are going to really aspire to be like Captain Marvel as well, because she is a very fierce character, she's resilient, she is snarky, she always gets back up, and yeah, she is going to be beloved. And I really did enjoy Brie Larson's performance as Carol Danvers. I know not everyone is crazy about her for some reason right now, but I don't know, I think she's a phenomenal actress, and I think she got a lot of those great character traits across and did it quite subtly as well. But I will say I wish the script had allowed Carol Danvers' character to be more vulnerable in places. The film just sort of portrays it as this almost invincible, always right, kind of flawless character, and that's sometimes not the best way to present female characters. It's better to show them with flaws and vulnerabilities because we can connect to them on a deeper level, really, and that just doesn't really happen much here. I also thought Brie Larson had excellent chemistry with the supporting characters, particularly Samuel L. Jackson. They have this really great buddy cop vibe and banter between the two of them, and they spar off each other really well. And Ben Mendelsohn's also terrific in this. He does some phenomenal acting through a lot of prosthetics. Like, you can tell his voice has been affected a bit by the prosthetics, especially around his mouth, but he still conveys a lot through all that makeup and prosthetics, and yeah, he's done a phenomenal job here. I also loved that this film does not have a single drop of romance between Captain Marvel and any of the other characters. Like, this is not a film that feels bogged down by a pointless love interest. In fact, the most endearing relationship that Captain Marvel has in this movie is between her and her old friend, who is this female pilot called Maria Rambo, and she's played by Lashana Lynch. It's so refreshing to see a film where the central relationship is not a romantic one, it's one of friendship and mutual respect. And yeah, the performances between the two of them are great. Also, Goose the cat, amazing. Guys, go watch this. Like, when you see this film, you understand why I want this cat to get his own solo spin-off movie. It's like one of my favorite MCU characters ever. So what else is great about Captain Marvel? Well, I will say that the CGI effects on Samuel L. Jackson and Greg Clark's faces to make them look a lot younger is insane. Like, it's so good to the point where, like, you don't even notice it. I mean, at first you go like, wow, Samuel L. Jackson looks good. He looks like he's just come off the set of Pulp Fiction and now he's just shot this, and it's insane that he looks that young, and it's so seamless. You really just think that's him. And yeah, that CGI is just incredible. But the downside of it is that it makes all the other CGI in this film feel so noticeable. Like the photon blasters that Captain Marvel has when she starts glowing, or any of the sequency stuff in orbit, like when she has her fiery helmet thing on and she's blasting around in space. It all looks just so video gamey in comparison to this flawless, very believable de-aging CGI on Samuel L. Jackson and Greg Clark's faces. So there really is a spectrum of great and bad CGI, and it just, the great stuff makes the bad stuff look so noticeable. As for my other negatives of this film, I will say that this film feels like it lacks personality, especially in comparison to the other 20 Marvel films. Like, it just doesn't really stand out in terms of its visual style or its pacing, its editing, its color choices. It's just very generic looking, and also it lacks overall consistency because this film is like 5 or 6 things in one. It's a buddy cop film, it's an origin story, it's an amnesia story, it's a feminist vehicle, it's a 90s nostalgia trip. It's all of these things, and all of these things are fine by themselves, but collectively they don't all work in harmony. Often the scene-to-scene transitions lack a sense of flow. Also, the editing felt a bit muddy. The action I thought was adequate, but nothing exceptional. Also, the villains in this film are very standard, nothing memorable at all. In the end, guys, I will say that Captain Marvel is definitely a good watch. There's definitely fun to be had watching a film like this, but in comparison to its 20 brothers and sisters that have come before it, Captain Marvel just doesn't stand out. It has no unique sense of style or personality. I think it's really relying on the fact that it's the first Marvel solo female film to sort of be its defining characteristic. But really, regardless of the lead character's gender and how inspiring it is for young girls, the film itself needs to stand on its own merits. And as a film, I did have some faults with it. Right, so let's ask those 3 questions. Firstly, will I watch this again? Yeah, absolutely. Even though this film isn't in my top 10 favorite Marvel films, it's still a fun watch, and I did like the character of Captain Marvel. I liked Brie Larson's performance. I would definitely give it a watch, and I would like to see where this character goes. I'm so excited to see what part she's going to play in Avengers Endgame, and yeah, I'm definitely going to rewatch it again at some point. Secondly, would I recommend it for you guys? Yes, even though this film has its fair share of faults, it still is an enjoyable watch. It's entertaining, and it is just fun popcorn escapism, but that's really all it is. There's nothing revolutionary to it. There's nothing that's anything particularly groundbreaking, but it is an important film in a sense of what we're seeing in these superhero films. So yeah, go watch it. And what score am I going to give it out of 10? I'm going to give Captain Marvel a score of 6.5 out of 10. There we go, guys. That is my review of Captain Marvel. But remember, this is just one bloke's opinion. I would love to know yours. What did you guys think of Captain Marvel? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Whatever you think, be sure to let me know in that comment section below. If you guys do like my channel, please don't forget to click subscribe. And if you guys want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, all that information is in that description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield, and I'll see you next time.